All right. Now, I do believe I'm live now. Hello, everyone. My name is David Taylor II. I'm an author, I'm a poet, I'm a playwright. I do comic books, I do children's books, I do sci fi. I have a lot of things that I do with words. So today, I'm going to be your guest author reader on Storytime. And I just want to thank Jarima for inviting me and thank her for this lovely platform she set up with Burst into Books. I cannot say enough good things about Dreama and the work that she's doing. I'm just so blessed to have met her and the passion with which she wants to teach kids how to read. So I'm very proud to be a part of that. So today, what I'm going to be reading is I'm going to be reading a little bit from my book called Diary of a Smart Black Kid, Sixth Grade. Diary of a Smart Black Kid, Sixth Grade. Now, before I read, I just want to give you a little background because one of the questions I get asked the most, the question I get asked the absolute most is how do you get started as an author? But one of the questions underneath that one that I get asked the most is what inspired you to write the book? The answer to that question is there are a lot of conversations that we need to have. And I wrote this book a while back, but it's more relevant now than ever. You'll see what I mean when I start reading some of the pages. There are different conversations we have to have based on ethnicity, based on what's going on with the country. But the basic idea behind the book is what do you do if you don't fit into a particular category? Because there's often an effort to try to type you or try to typecast you, or try to say that based on your demographics, based on the color of your skin, your ethnicity, your culture, your age, your gender, whatever it is that makes you you, that you must be this, you must be this way, you must be that way. Well, you do that because you're fill in the blank. And there's a strong, concentrated part of American culture that keeps telling you from the time that you're a child, well, you're a this, so this acts like that. And so I said, what happens if you don't fit neatly into any one box? What happens if all the things that God has put inside of you, what if they're not easily defined, or what if there's a bunch of things that people might not expect to find in the same soul? What do you do then? If somebody told you that you were Black, when you first heard that phrase, well, you're Black, what does that mean? Because they think it means what that means to them. Well, what if somebody told you, well, you're a nerdy kid, well, you're a geek, you're into all that, anime and manga and video games and all that kind of weird stuff. So what does that mean? Or what if somebody said, well, you're smart. Well, what does that mean? There's all kinds of smart. There's book smart, there's sports smart, there's money smart. What does that mean? But whenever people use those kinds of labels, they think it means what it means to them. So when you're 12 years old and you walk into the cafeteria, you have to make the monumentous decision of figuring out where it is you want to sit. Where do you sit? Okay? Because that junior high school cafeteria, that high school cafeteria is a microcosm of American life. Where do you sit when you walk in the room? If I'm quote unquote smart, do I sit with the smart kids? Do I sit with kids that are the same skin color as mine? What about gender issues? What about social economic issues? What if you have money, or what if you don't have money? Or what if having money is relative? Do you sit with people whose parents make, because it's not your money, that kind of thing. So if you don't fit neatly into any type of pre-described box, that's the general idea behind this book. So let's jump right in. Diary of a Smart Black Kid, Sixth Grade. On the cover, these are actually his inventions. He's an inventor, okay? So what you're seeing, I'm doing this backwards. So what you're seeing are his inventions on the cover. Like this is Totally Awesome Infinite Bubblegum. Like this is homework repellent. This is Totally Awesome Genius Pills. So our hero, his name is Baron Winters, is an inventor. So let's dive right in. And yes, this is part of a series. And yes, I'm working on a sequel. So this is not a standalone book. There's going to be a Diary of a Smart Black Kid, 7th grade, 8th grade, and some more stuff, but I'm working on it. Okay, here we go. Chapter 1. So I almost got shot today. End of summer, part 1. August, Friday. So I almost got shot today, but I'll get to the gun thing in a minute. See, I love summer bike riding in my hometown. It's homey. Also, I might be using psychotherapy, see what I did there, to casually ignore the fact that it's almost here. It meaning the test that will change my life. Well, almost actually meaning springtime of next year. Still, woohoo! Yep, only geeks count days until tests. So color me county. There's something happening in my life even sooner, however. That would be the blessed advent of junior high school. And by blessed advent, I mean, yeah, I'm scared brainless. 6th grade is just a few days away. 6th grade in a few days. I need to do really well this year in school to even qualify for the test in the spring. There's a little picture of Baron riding his bike. But in the meantime, I need to graze in every boy's natural habitat, sweat. According to my mother, every time I take a shower, I'm wasting water and running up the electric bill. Haven't figured that one out yet. But what I do know is that it's August, and that means bike riding till it's dark. Till dark, I tells you. Also, adults and kids have different definitions of dark. Speaking of my hometown, it's right outside Chicago. Lots of bike paths. Although I prefer riding in the streets. I probably shouldn't tell my parents that I played chicken with a bus one time. Yeah, maybe I'll leave that out of our next dinner. So how was your day discussion? August is a funny month. I'm pretty sure it's named after Augustus, who was like the first Roman emperor. And I know that more babies are born in August. My mind's kind of buzzy like that, all funny factoid and things. Maybe that's not 100% true because my big sister Christina, she's 18, was born in May. And my big brother Zeke, he's 21, so old, was born in December. But that was with Dad's first wife and not my mom. So does that make the August thing totally bogue? Anyway, August is still the last dance with summer, so it has all these really hot days. Maybe so you can like soak up some extra sunshine or heat or something, because winter will make you forget all this. Then there's Friday, which, excuse me. Then there's Friday, which has to be like the best day of the week ever. It's the only day of the week where there's no downside, like if candy were turned into a day, because no work the next day, allowance money comes, cha-ching, cartoons and pancakes all morning. You can sleep until the sun stops talking. Also, every single sleepover in the history of people has happened on a Friday night. Then there's pizza, which has to be like celestial in origin. Greek gods ate ambrosia and nectar. American gods eat pizza. I'm sure there's a God law that says so. Pizza was invented for Fridays. Pizza is the king of food. So I think that makes Friday like the king of days. Or it would be if there was a contest for such things. Like Friday would beat up Thursday and take Wednesday's girlfriend and exile Monday. Because who loves Mondays? Nobody, that's who. Tuesday is clearly like that kid that nobody notices except when they do something crazy. Like, for example, when it follows a 3-day weekend. Then Tuesday feels like Monday part 2 and 3-day weekends are always fun, though, because they're like extra ketchup on a burger. I have noticed that my big brother and sister seem to be able to pack more fun into their weekends than I can. I guess that's part of the benefits of being older. I'm not even fully a teenager, and already it seems like being a non-teenager is the coolest thing ever, except for maybe Minecraft. I can't imagine anything outcooling that. Hey, wait, wouldn't it be awesome-tacular if Friday got in a fight with Minecraft to see which one was cooler? I'm pretty much figuring there was a magical place where all this stuff that kids imagine actually happens. Or else, why would we be able to imagine it? Well, anyway, Friday wins all battles, and sometimes I wish it could be 48 hours long because that would rock like Ben Grimm in a mudslide. Friday is life. Except for the fact that this particular Friday, there was that gun thing with the cop. I was downtown in my second favorite bookstore, Kirst and Dorsten. This cop followed me out of the store. Then he watched me unchain my bike from the rack, like he didn't believe it was mine. I wanted to get out of there in a hurry, so I started moving faster. Because what kid likes being stared down by law enforcement? Then he totally pulled his gun on me. I had to drop my bike and my lock and faceplant myself. Running down my leg, my sweat shook hands with my pee and said in unison, "We're in trouble." I just never pictured dying before my first year of junior high school. Fortunately, after he saw my highly trembly demeanor, Officer Not So Friendly seemed to no longer think I was a thief. I think. So I left. Note to self, put an ID tag on your bike when you get home. Oh, and change your pants. Maybe I should get a tattoo on my bike that says property of Baron Winters, because I could never get like a real tattoo. My mother would look at me like I grew a second face. Then she'd break the one I have. So I pretty much decided I wasn't going to let Captain Overanxious back there suck the joy out of my day, even though he almost Rodney King'd me. Yeah, I watched those videos. History, man. Plus, if I qualified to take that test at all, nothing's going to stop me from doing well on it. That's just not going to happen. But I've got a whole school year to get through before I'm there. And I'm going to live in comic book world until then. Along with studying, of course. Hashtag not a slacker. I had gone into Kirsten Dorsten because I didn't have time to ride all the way across town to the comic shop. Sometimes K&D has some comic books. Although lately my allowance has been on life support after a trip to buy some comics. Comics are like $5 per book. I love the comic shop though. They have everything. Comic books, RPGs, action figures. They are not dolls. Game nights, DVDs, posters. I could just live there. I would if I could afford it. Geez, I'm Lord of mercy. I could just see the drama if I asked my dad for more allowance money. I wouldn't recommend that to my worst enemy. Well, actually, I would because I can't stand that evil Derek Kilroy. But anyway, I haven't figured out yet why the stuff you hate the most takes up so much brain space. But then again, I guess the stuff you love the most does too. Life's kind of funny that way, but when I grow up, I'm going to invent some kind of brain filter memory device. Like totally awesome for ghetto glasses. Totally awesome for ghetto glasses. Holy mother of haggis, they will be the best-selling thing ever. Know why? Because what people wouldn't give to be able to have selective memory. Know how I know that? Because all parents in the League of Adults have selective memory. They can't seem to remember all the stuff you've done right when they're yelling at you, just the things you do wrong. I'd like to perfect that and then flip the switch so I could only remember the good things. Then again, what would happen if you didn't know how to classify a memory? Yikes, I sense a bug in the software. Oh well, I'd figure out a way to classify memories for targeted removal because I totally could. If I wasn't already such a genius, I would invent patented genius pills and turn myself into a genius. Patent pending genius pills. Yep, I have solved all problems. Okay, next chapter is short. I'm just going to read one more chapter. I don't want to go too long. This is chapter 2. Chapter 2 is entitled, My House is a Pulpit, apparently. Saturday. My parents are not together, officially, or technically, or something. Anyways, I live with my mom in the burbs, and my dad has his own apartment. We live in a house on the north side, and since Zeke has moved out, I have a room all to myself. Score! Isn't that what big brothers are for, though? To give little brothers all their stuff? I could be wrong, but I'm not asking for a recount on that one. I see my dad on third weekends, and whenever he comes over here on his totally random drive-by parenting visits. He comes over on most holidays, and they pretend like we're still together as a family. Sometimes he even sleeps over here. Their arrangement may be a source of confusion for me, but don't quote me on that. So if I understand it correctly, they're not really able to make their marriage work, so their strategy is to lecture me to death. Okay, then. My parents always say things to me like, wait till you get grown, you'll see. I'm not quite sure what such soliloquies are designed to do. Am I supposed to fear adulthood or run towards it? Then they say things like, you're living your best days now. They never say that one quietly either. I keep wondering to myself, do they think I have a choice? I mean, like, as to how long I get to stay a child. That makes no sense to me. And if these are my best days, yeesh. I mean, it's really funny listening to adults talk because it's quite obvious to me that they think that we should think like they do. I'm in sixth grade. I can't look at life the same way my dad does. How could I? But somehow that seems to be an endless score of delight for them, telling me how much I don't know. My response to that is, as opposed to what? Are there any kids in sixth grade who have life all figured out yet? If such a kid exists, I'd sure like to meet him. Then again, he'd probably be so pretentious and arrogant until I couldn't stay in the same room with him. Like all the mega brainiacs at school. Geez, let a person win a spelling bee in fifth grade, and all of a sudden they're ultra lord high commander over the rest of their class. All this thinking has made me thirsty, but I know what Mom will say. She says that every time I walk into the kitchen looking for something to drink. Too much sugar for you, young man. Maybe if you want me to like those drinks, you shouldn't buy them for me. Everybody knows that sugar is like drugs for kids. Yikes. I would never say that to her, though, because is that being a smart mouth when I say that? I think so. Is honesty illegal for kids? I think that's it. Maybe I should create some laws to help myself keep it all straight. Barron's Law. Kids can't speak the truth out loud. That's a tea saver right there. But back to my liquid glucose dilemma. I mean, I could just go over to Z's house and drink them anyway, but still, yeah, so that's it. I just have to accept it. Adults seem to really like that. Okay, wait. I might have to read one more chapter. Just one more. Okay, just one more. Chapter 3, The Beach is a Strange Place, End of Summer, Part 2. Is it just me, or do people not know how to dress for their height and weight? I mean, beaches are like conventions, but that's another thing. If I say it out loud, I get slapped in the mouth. But I just thought it real loud, so wow. So me and Mom and Christina drove down to the beach Sunday after church. It was fun packing for the trip that morning, but hard to keep my mind off it during service. It was the best kind of warm day where you can feel the sun on your skin, but it's not scorching. Beaches in Chicago are always awesome and crowded. So we had to walk further than usual because we parked in a new spot. There was like a really gentle breeze blowing. The beach is another forever place for me. After we get there, I never want to leave, except for that like doggy do on my shoe thing. Sometimes people tell me that I'm mean because I'm mostly clear about how I feel about things. Mostly, but then again, I am just a kid, and this is the last time in my life I get to be this honest. Oh, look, there's Devin Green with a little girl dog. Everybody brings their dog to the beach, but no one cleans up after Little Spike or Little Muffin, or what do people actually name their dogs these days? Oh, well, I had on my favorite swim trunks, the dark black ones, because obviously they're like Batman's. And I just love the feeling of the sand on my toes and the smell of the water. Me and Chen Ziyang, that's Z, my best friend, played Frisbee football for 3 hours or something. Then we had lap races down to the first buoy and back. We tied as usual. But coming out of the water, it's like being wet is a sand magnet. Well, that's no fun when you get back in the car. My life is shenanigans. Also, why does mom seem to blow a gasket if I use the wrong towel? Don't you use my good towels for the beach band winners? Oh, okay. Don't all towels do the same thing? I'm just a smart aleck. I just need to shut up. I think I'm missing something. Chin's mom is the same way, except with a little less volume. Maybe it's the sand, but does that really hurt a towel? Also, my question has always been, if you're so clean when you get out the shower, how do towels ever get dirty? See my point there? I don't know. Being a genius is hard work because there are so many questions. That's why I like Chin, though. My best friend seems really calm all the time. It's great when we hang out. He knows comics better than I do and plays just about every video game that I like. His dad travels a lot for his job, so he doesn't seem to get to see him much. That's kind of a bummer. His dad gets a kick out of us being geeks, though. He loves to give Chin money for books. He offered to come to a movie with us one time, but we were like, thanks, but no, because parental presence kind of leads to embarrassment. Embarrassment leads to suffering, and suffering leads to the dark side. I think my favorite hero is Batman, mainly because he makes his own decisions and doesn't ask anybody for permission. The other heroes seem to worry what people think about them, but not Batman, though. He wants you to be scared of him. I think also that I need to start making my own superheroes. I don't see why not. I need to make a hero that is super fast and can turn invisible and won't get diabetes. Yeah, I'm going to have to look up diabetes, but mom says dad has it and it's bad. So my hero would be able to be undetectable and uninflictable. Now that I think about it, that would be an awfully convenient power set for a sixth grader. I mean, I could pass all my gym classes with ease. I could spy on all the bullies in school and be sure I avoided them, just like be where they're not. Downside, if I can't get sick, I can't really have sick days anymore, can I? Oh, well, maybe I'll draw my superhero guy sooner rather than later. Okay, that's it. That's the first 3 chapters. I read enough. I don't want to go too long. So yeah, he's smart. He's got a smart mouth. He definitely has a smart mouth, but the book is about his internal dialogue, and the book is about the kinds of things that are just running through his head and observations that he makes. And we have to have those kinds of conversations with kids now, particularly Black kids or any kid of color. You have to talk about what it's like now when you go out in public. You have to talk about what it's like for you carrying yourself. But I stopped by to tell you, I have the experience as an adult, and I'm good and grown. And I've been grown for a long time, but I was walking down the street the other day and I had a hoodie on. And some cops saw me and I saw them freeze. They stopped just because I had a hoodie on. Okay. So I just kind of had to keep walking and minding my own business because I was where I needed to be. But just the fact I had a hoodie on kind of seemed to target me. And so that's why I wrote a book like that. So even though it's a lot of smart aleck stuff and a lot of kid stuff and a lot of, funny things going on, it's also really true to life that you really have to pay attention, especially the way things are now. You have to pay attention, and we have to have those conversations with kids. And also, sometimes kids just need catharsis. It's not easy being 12 because when you're 12, you are not quite a kid and you are definitely not grown. You're entering that tween stage, and that tween stage is really, really hard. You're trying to figure out a whole bunch of things. And so I put some things in the book that, once again, that are very, very much inner dialogue for people that age, but, very much stuff that you quite often can't say out loud. And that's another thing I've discovered in my life and I've discovered in my experiences as an author. And that is that writing and reading and following your favorite character is a form of catharsis, because people very much need outlets. They very much need expression. They very much need to say, but they need to say what they're really feeling, and they need to say what they're really thinking. And so part of what I'm doing with this book is I'm trying to bring up uncomfortable subjects, because I know some of that stuff I read was like, I know he didn't say that, but that's on purpose. It's supposed to make you uncomfortable on purpose to make you begin to think differently, to have discussions. We want to have discussions with our kids about bullying. We don't want to wait until something has happened or Sometimes what can happen is that you have a child that's trying to mind their business, and they spent the whole school year trying to mind their business. And somebody keeps picking on them and picking on them and picking on them and picking on them. And then comes that one day where that child snaps. And as soon as they act out, then the teacher gets mad at them. Because apparently the teacher didn't know all the provocation that was happening up to that point. That's what I mean. We need to have conversations like that. You need to ask kids, why do you feel the way you feel? Why? If you're not normally acting out, why are you acting out? You don't walk up to them and get in their face. Well, you should know better. Well, maybe they're feeling what they're feeling. Maybe you should let them say what they're saying. So again, I know that my book is very provocative, and I know that, it's controversial. You should see some of the comments I've gotten on my Amazon reviews. You should see some of them comments. Lord have mercy. But nevertheless, it's designed to bring up those conversations. Are you really in touch with your child? Do you really know what they're thinking and feeling? Do you know what their life is like? Do you know what they're dealing with at school? If you didn't grow up in this generation, if you weren't born in the last 20 years, you did not grow up in the viral generation. But in the viral generation, what that means is that pictures, texts, tweets, videos goes around the world in seconds, not minutes, seconds. And so if something is said or done or shared or whatever, all of a sudden the whole school will know in a matter of seconds. When I was in school, people would be talking about stuff like up and down the hallway, but it's a completely different kind of thing now. That's their life now. And so, just like with the suicide rates going up, people deciding they don't want to live past 15. Why? Why don't they? So again, like I said, it's going to make you laugh. It's going to make you uncomfortable. It's going to make you look at some things you didn't look at before. It's going to do a lot to raise those conversations so we can have honest conversations about our socialization process, so we can have honest conversations about being sure we bring our potential out of the kids, so we can have honest conversations about allowing them to be where they are, but at the same time, guiding them into adulthood. Be honest about where you are. Tell me the truth, but then let me show you how to deal. How do we make it through from where we are to getting to the next stage of life? So that's what the book is about. And yes, there's definitely going to be sequels. And yes, I definitely want you to read it with your kids of any age. Read it with your teachers. Like I said, it's really going to strike home. It's really going to strike here. It's not just funny surface stuff. It's real here, like the scene I read about. What do you do when you're coming out of a store and somebody thinks that because you're a black kid, that bike you're on, you must have stolen it. And then they pull a gun. You can't catch an attitude. You might get shot. Is your bike worth getting shot over? So you might have to face plant. We have to have that conversation. There was a time back when I wrote this book to where we were just beginning to have it, but we have to have it now. You might have to face plant. You might have to swallow your pride. You might have, even if you got a smart mouth. That's why I wrote them with a smart mouth. Sometimes that smart mouth will get you in trouble. Sometimes you got to shut it. And, it might save your life. We have to have that conversation. So that's what I want to happen with this book. I want to have librarians, teachers, parents, religious leaders, civic leaders. I want everybody to be talking to the kids and let them speak honestly, tell you what their life is like, the kinds of things they're really dealing with. And then as adults, we can help them through the stages of life so that they don't end their lives early or get their lives ended early, or so that they know that what they're feeling is very, very normal, that what they're going through is very, very normal. There's always, I'm going to say this a little bit, I'm going to be through. And thank you again, Dreamer, for letting me spend this time. I'm going to say this a little bit and I'll be through. We used to call it the generation gap. But what I have learned is that if you live long enough, God and life will sit you at every seat at the table. If you live long enough, God and life will sit you at every seat at the table. What do I mean by that? When you come into life, you're the baby. The baby, the baby, the baby. Oh, everybody loves a baby. And if you're the other kids, you used to be the baby, but you ain't the baby no more. Then you're a toddler, then you're a kid, then you run around, then you're doing whatever. Then you live long enough, you live 13 years and you're a teenager. Then you're having conversations with your parents from a certain point of view. If you live long enough, them conversations going to flip. And one day you're going to have the same conversation that you had as a teen, except you're going to be on the other side of the table. You're going to be looking down at your child as a teenager saying the same things to you or similar things that you said to your parents. And the conversation is going to look totally different to you. Life looks a certain way to you when you're 13. But if you flip and now you have a 13-year-old, that same conversation looks totally different to you. Okay? My grandmother always taught me not to make fun of old people. My grandmother always said, David, don't you make fun of old people, because if you live long enough, you're going to be one of them. Okay? So if you have lived long enough to see many years, when you talk about your life, you're looking back. You're looking back at the decades you have lived. But someone that's only been on a planet a decade and a half, they've only been on the planet a decade and a half. They haven't lived a lot of that life yet. But if you live long enough, you work for somebody, you're the employee. One day you might start your own business. When you start your own business, then you're going to be the boss. It's going to look different to you. Everything's going to look different when you're the boss. When you were working for the man and you had to punch a clock, that looks a certain way to you. When you're an entrepreneur, you're trying to build your own thing, taxes, payroll, annual reports, inventory, it looks different to you then because you're having the same conversation from the other side of the table. Okay? So that's what my book is designed to do. Let's get everybody at the table. Okay? And even though some of the conversations might be uncomfortable, where we are now is a matter of life and death now. We got to have those conversations now, okay? Because people are dying around us every day for a variety of reasons. We have to have those conversations now. And so that's why I wrote something designed to provoke, evoke, draw out those very things. So again, it's Diary of a Smart Black Kid, 6th grade. It will make you laugh. It will make you cry. It will make you angry. It will make you self-reflect. And it will make you have the conversations with your young ones and maybe people older than you that you need to have. Okay? All right. I think that's it, unless Jarima has some more she wants to add. I think that's it.